So the article online, CBSSports.com by Cody Benjamin, mentions these as the top storylines going into 2025. I'm going to read them off. You tell me which one you think is the most interesting to you. First one, are the Chiefs about to tumble? Second one, can the AFC powers, the other AFC powers, Ravens, Bengals, Bills, get over the hump? What's the deal with Aaron Rodgers? That one's not interesting to me anymore. I think we all know it. Did you listen to Rodgers on Rogan, by the way?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
A lot of, shall we say, medical talk.
Every hot topic that could have been covered. Joe Rogan juiced every ounce of conspiratorial discussion and cutting edge medical talk. My God. And Aaron is just like so ready to go about everything. He's like, oh, funny you should ask. I prepared like a 7-page document to discuss this with you.
It was like a conspiracy theory home run derby where they're just throwing up like softballs.
It was Sosa and McGuire just injecting each other and hitting bombs. I listened to it as an entertainment. It wasn't like I was listening to it for information, right? You know, you listen to these things while you're making coffee in the morning, making breakfast, and it's funny. It's funny to listen to. Like, I'll turn to my wife and she'll be like, did he just say that? I'm like, yes, he did. This is ridiculous. I'm going to keep listening.
It's incredible how deep down the experience, like, because they don't even, there is a lot of things where they're not even like explaining, they don't even like give context. They're just kind of just like, oh yeah, you know about Moderna or whatever. And
they say one name and then it's like boom, 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 boom. Yes, I did see that. Right. Which leads me to, we were talking about the top storylines, and I'm going to just say I'm not going to talk about Aaron Rodgers again because we just did. But I think day in, day out, that is the story, because there's a Hall of Fame quarterback that's sitting on his couch or Joe Rogan's spaceship podcast studio who could quite literally take your team to the promised land if you make it happen. You know, miss the boat on the Vikings, or the Vikings miss the boat on him, depending on how JJ McCarthy looks. But the Steelers are the team where the ducks are in a row for Aaron Rodgers to hop in there late spring, early summer, and get things rolling. You also said, can the other AFC powers get over the hump? The Ravens, Bills, and Bengals. Mm-hmm. The hump, as it were, for all those teams are different. For the Ravens, it's the big game. It's the drop 2-point conversion. It's, turnovers in crunch time. For the Bengals, it's the defense. Are we going to be able to see the Bengals play any defense? Because if the Bengals play any defense, the Bengals will be in the playoffs, and the Bengals will be the team that nobody wants to play. And the hump for the Bills is the Chiefs. And I think that the hump has gotten smaller. The lump has gotten smaller. The Chiefs, they were embarrassed in the Super Bowl. Obviously, the offensive line has been minorly dismantled with Tooney going out the door, and now Trey Smith's on a $23 million deal. You got a lot of guys who are set to get paid. We're waiting to see how healthy the receiver room is. I'm never going to count Patrick Mahomes out, but you have to look at the people around him and what's happening. Are they able to protect him the same way that they have in years past? Are they able to play defense effectively? Are they able to stay healthy on the outside? I think this could be the year where we see somebody bust out, whether it's the Bengals or the Bills, in my opinion, and challenge the Chiefs for the AFC title.
Yeah, I think the first two storylines there that I said are like the same thing. Are the Chiefs about to tumble is the same as are the Ravens, Bills, or Bengals going to be on the come up? Because obviously, the Chiefs have dominated the AFC over the past half decade, with only the Bengals, I believe, the last team to make it to the Super Bowl from the AFC. So I do think, it interests me because this year, more so than it seems like any other year, it seems prime for that, but also that there's no clear second team. There's no clear, someone's coming up to take the mantle from them. It really could be the Ravens. It could be the Bills. It could be the Bengals. It could be the Texans. It could be a lot of different teams in the AFC right now. It could be the Broncos in their own division, right? So I do think that uniquely on that side, I think the NFC is a little more clear-cut at the top. The AFC looks like very much a free-for-all at this point. So whoever gets over the hump, it's honestly going to feels like a crapshoot. I can't look at any single one of these teams and be like, yeah, they are extremely well positioned. I think of them all, the Ravens look like the most complete team, but obviously, they didn't make the NFC Championship game last year. Like they've had their own struggles to win the big one. So the AFC, to me, if I'm looking at the two conferences, looks like the much more interesting one heading into this season. And the sort of games that will happen at the top to shake it out will be must-see TV down the stretch. All right, a couple more storylines. Any of these interest you? Can the Commanders live up to the hype? And how will the NFC North shake out? I think the Commanders won.
What does the hype mean? Do you want the Commanders to go to the NFC Championship again? Do you want them to make another Disney movie run? I mean, sure, that could happen. You better win all your close games like you did last year. You better find a way to play some defense on the back end.
That's how I think the Commanders one is almost too short-sighted. You have a window. Live up to the hype is more just like, you just establish yourself in that tier of teams that can win a Super Bowl, right?
Every year, be there. Every year.
Exactly. That's all this season is just maintain an advance, like survive. Like basically like what you had last year.
Double-digit wins is really the barometer. Yes. If they can get to 10 wins, I'm like, they are who I thought they were. He is who I 100%. Thought he was.
You just want to be at that level that is, I'm in the playoffs every single year. Once you're there, once you are that, should injuries bounce your way, should player development go your way, should a few moves that you made, obviously some big ones, Deebo Samuel, Laramie Tunsil, pay off big dividends, you got this 3-year window. You got the next 3 years of Jane Daniels' contract that are very cheap comparatively to the rest of the NFL. Once the 5th year hits, it's still not quite as expensive, but that's when it starts to get more difficult. Not to say you can't do it, just say that that's kind of your window. That you're on the holy grail right now, where it's the cheap quarterback rookie deal that you can just flood them with talent that they tried to do this offseason. You make big splash moves like the Laramie Tunsil trade. So it's not that it's this year we have to go farther than we did last year, which would obviously be a Super Bowl. It's just we got to be in the dance. And then if you're in the dance this year and you're making
keep your RPMs high like they were last year. Yes. Just keep your RPMs high.
And
then the one that's the one that is most intriguing to me is the NFC North and how it's going to shake up.
That is
obviously you and I are both big fans of two NFC North teams, but I'm honestly I've got my eyes on this division because the Detroit Lions have been the juggernaut in the division. They lost both their coordinators. Jared Goff gets an opportunity to show us standing alone how he does. J.J. McCarthy's going to be inheriting a Ferrari in Minnesota. Can he even drive stick? Can he find the clutch pedal in that car? Is Ben Johnson going to get through in a short enough time to Caleb Williams to be able to get the football out of his damn hands so he's not taking a million hits a year and drives aren't ending on 3rd and 16? Obviously, the Packers, it comes down to what Jordan Love can do with that receiver room. Can they continue to build as a defense? Obviously, they got some teeth last year. I have the least amount of questions about the Green Bay Packers, and I have a lot of questions about the other teams. How do you see the NFC North shaking out, particularly with the coaching changes and the quarterbacks who are trying to take their next steps?
That's a great way. I think you framed it very well in that there are some teams with big question marks. Like that you said you feel most comfortable about the Packers, but it's also like, in my opinion, I almost feel the least excited about the Packers because everyone else has something that's like could be insanely teetering good and like year on year could push them over the edge. Where it's like the Vikings have this wild card at quarterback in J.J. McCarthy, who by one of my buddy Matthew Collar, Purple Insider, Vikings beat reporter. He said he looked better than Sam Darnold in training camp last year. He would not, would not blow smoke up J.J. McCarthy's butt just unceremoniously. Like he truly believed that during training camp he was the better quarterback and thought he was going to win the job before obviously the meniscus tear. So you have that guy, and if he is, shoot, that could get you to the Super Bowl with how good their defense should be, how much their offensive line has improved. Chicago. Top to bottom, one of the best rosters in the NFL, loaded with weapons on the offensive side of the ball, and you have maybe the best offensive mind in the NFL. It's just how is it all going to work out now? So they have that going in their favor. That, they were 4th in this division last year, but had the complete biggest upgrade of anyone in the NFL in terms of the coaching position.
And then we're in a lot of one-score games too. So, like, we can say the wins and losses, but it's also really important to point out how close some of these games were against playoff opponents. Team last year.
And then you have the Detroit Lions, who were the most injured team in the NFL on the defensive side of the ball last year. Now, they lost both coordinators, but talent still talks in the NFL. And if you're bringing back guys like Aiden Hutchinson, if he's back at full strength, if you're bringing McNeil back at full strength, if you have DJ Reed playing the way he did last year in the secondary, and you have Terrion Arnold, Anis Rakestraw, your first and second round pick from a year ago, making big steps in year 2. Well, shoot, this could be one of the best. This could be a top 3 defense in the NFL very easily. So that's why I'm like, the Packers feel safe. They feel like a safe bet to make the playoffs. They don't feel like the team that's ultimately going to come out at the top of it. But I can't tell you who is, right? Like gun to my head, I have no freaking clue who it's going to be. But I would just, if I had to bet right now, I would take the field over the Packers.
I'm really anxious to see how this thing shakes out, because obviously we're going to have our eyes on the NFC North.